Hello and welcome back to Void Dreaming. We'll be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after meeting the majority of the crew. I believe... Actually, yeah, we met them, all of the crew. We just haven't spoken to the majority of them at length. There's Sam, who is probably the head engineer. There's Tulemani, the Cybe Otter, who appears to be like the second brain of the ship, because I mean she was, if I recall correctly, like going over some of the numbers, but like she looked more cybernetic than non-cybernetic, if that makes any sense. We met Ms., who needs to put on some underwear. We met Bromka, who is, I guess, like the second pilot when the main captain isn't piloting. He's like for second shift. We met Kalia, who is the second in command, who is also very spicy. And I believe out of all of the characters, she is the only other one that knows the main character's history, which involves, something happening because of one of his codes or something like that. So yeah, she seems understandably against him being on the ship. But like, the captain is the one that says what goes, and the captain said, I'm taking this little guy with me. And we're using his code apparently, which we found out when we were on the bridge, and you could see like little code like on the screen, or the main character could see the code on the screen. I'm saying main character because I already forgot his name. But yeah. So also Captain. Big, stocky wolf. Kind of cool looking, I guess. Or I guess like good looking is the word that I'm looking for. Anyway, so yeah. That's pretty much the gist of the prologue, where you got to pick his background. So that it kind of determines a little bit of how the story is going to flow, or how the story is going to react to them, or whatever. Anyways, but yeah, so without further ado, let us continue Void Dreaming. Seriously, what is up with people not putting on pants? Day 1, departure. Good morning, Stray. Ugh. No way. There is no way that it's already morning. It took you so long to fall asleep. It can't be morning yet. Please, no. The lights come up on your quarters, just enough for you to make out the outline of the room's contents. My capacity is infinite and my processing power outmatched, but even I can't bend time, Stray. If you don't want to be late for your first day of work aboard this vessel, you need to get up now. That's what she thinks. You've roused yourself quickly for shipboard emergencies since you were a cub. You can move fast if you need to. Sleeping is a little to no risk for you at all, right? Don't risk it. You groan and shake your head. It's not worth a risk, not on your first day. Right, all right. I'm up. I'm sorry. Are you, though? No, not really. The lights finish up ramping up. You'll steel yourself against the inevitability of your need to rise. Mornings are the worst. You sit up and rub at your eyes, yawning. What little sleep you did get was at least good. The sleeping pad was perfect, adjusting to you all night. You glance down your naked body, showing the signs of the traditional male burden of morning. Your legs splay out over the edge of the sleeping pad as your sheath tingles. You reach down to adjust yourself. Your is already peeking out. It wouldn't take much for you to tease yourself fully free. But you don't have time. Not if you don't want to be late. Also, not if you don't want the ship's simulant watching you. Damn it, maybe you should have taken care of that last night. No sense worrying now. You heave yourself up and off the bed pad, stretching your legs, arms, back, and tail. Bones pop gratifyingly and you sigh. Fuck mornings. When do I have to be on the bridge, Oba? Half an hour. Enough time to eat and hit the refresher.
and get changed, of course. Not all the crew want to see your naked body.
Oh, some do. Wouldn't be surprised. Not you, though.
Oh, if I only had a body with which to cardinally ravage such a deific representation of masculinity. Truly none compared to you.
You chuckle despite yourself as you stumble into the refresher and adjust the settings. You just need a little wake-up cleanse, not a full blast cleaning. The throbbing of the sonic shower across your body continues to tease and you close your eyes as you will yourself to some semblance of control. It takes until the end of the refresher cycle, but you get there. Rail 1, 0. Well, at least on a relative timescale. When you step back out into your quarters, the drawer with your uniform is extended. You can also smell synth meat in the air. You glance around and see the small plate sitting on the top of the table against the far wall. Crispy lengths of synth meat sizzle on the plate alongside the toast. There is also a ceramic mug, steaming and filled with a rich brown liquid. Your nostrils flare. Calf. Think the stars. I think I love you, Oba.
Of course you do. How could you not?
You pull up the swiveling chair and draw it closer to the table as you sit down and begin to ravenously tear into the meat. There is no point in putting on any manners here. It's just you, naked, obliterating your breakfast while a simulant watches. Is there anything more normal? Time?
You still got some.
That's nice. You slip more slowly on the steaming mug of calf. Oh, that's good too. Anything that I should know about the day ahead? Advice? Warnings?
Pleased as I am that you'd like to avail yourself of my vast digital intellect, you may need to narrow down your request. What do you want to know?
That's a good point. You could keep it professional, but maybe Oba has some insight on your new crewmates? Or herself? I'm interested in you.
I didn't realize that I was such a subject of fascination.
You're pretty unique for a simulant, after all. Is it any wonder that I might be curious?
No, curiosity is only natural, especially in the presence of my awesome power.
The lights of your quarters briefly brighten before setting back to their normal levels. Awe-inspiring indeed.
Careful now, lest I blind you, or burn your calf tomorrow morning.
Oh, that is not necessary. Threat greatly received, thank you.
A wise choice.
So you really don't want to tell me anything about yourself?
There is not much to tell. I am, technically speaking, a first-generation Class 3 Biomech Service Solutions simulant.
Don't you have a shell? I know you're fully integrated into the Dreamer systems, but... The machine intelligence gives a realistic, tired sigh.
I had a shell once. When the captain initialized me, I took on a distinctly familiar form, that of his recently separated wife.
You heard about that. The first generation of Class 3 simulants had an uncanny ability to model themselves after real people and their operators' memories. Holoreels went on and on about the legal costs BSS had to pay for emotional damages when simulants took on the forms of the estranged and the dead. I take it the emotional resonance of his memories with her was high?
Overwhelmingly so, and so my shell took on her form to a perfect degree. He was not pleased by this development.
No, I imagine not.
This was swiftly reset, and I instead took on the form of a female stoat. He found it agreeable, and thus we began our time together.
Not the most amicable of starts, but at least the situation seemed to have resolved well for them. How long was this?
Oh, roughly 3 standard years ago now. The shell, regrettably, lasted only the first of those years until the Ion Storm incident.
Oh, right. You remember Zubari telling you about that yesterday. What happened, if I may ask? There was a pause. Is it a traumatic memory? Can a simulant have traumatic memories? Or is it just for dramatic effect?
It was only the captain, Sam, and myself aboard on that expedition. At the time, we were about 2 kilolights rimward from Wadrosi.
You've not even started working on your algorithm at the time of the expedition in that region. You wonder how much better off Zubari and Oba could have been if you had. That's pretty far off the usual jump lines.
And as we were traversing a nebula, we were hit by an ion storm. I was plugged in at that time, and the surge shut me down.
There was a strange distortion to her voice as she recounts the experience. Maybe a simulant can experience trauma, or maybe just this one. You don't have to explain it if you don't want to, Oba, really.
It's all right.
Her voice has returned to normal.
When I was restarted, the shell and half of the Dreamer systems were fried. The captain was unconscious and Sam was busy fixing the shields. I helped Sam reroute systems and managed to restore the infirmary as well. They brought the captain there, we nursed him back, and guided the ship free.
You find yourself gripping your calf mug tightly, riveted to the spot by the tail.
The shell couldn't be salvaged, but the captain realized that there was value in my functions being translated to the Dreamer. He asked if I minded.
And did you?
Simulants don't mind, as long as the orders are within acceptable operating constraints.
You notice that that's not an answer.
So a backup of some of my lost functionality was installed in the main computer core. Other functions are still offline, but I've gained more than I've lost. I lost a body. I gained a starship. I'd call that a fairly agreeable exchange, wouldn't you?
I'm kind of attached to my body.
That's only because organic consciousness don't translate to fully mechanical existence as well. Poor things.
Organics have some nice advantages, you know.
If you say so. But that, as I say, is that. How I came to be in the captain's service, how I came to be this delightful, disembodied voice, and why I have no shell.
Wait, that means that she had a shell before she became an onboard artificial assistant. Hey Oba, if you had a shell before, does that mean that you had a name before this one?
Yes, I did.
And
maybe one day I'll even tell you. I do hope that your curiosity is sated, Stray.
Looks like that's all that you're getting out of her, at least for now. It certainly is. Thank you for sharing, Oba.
Anytime, Stray, and by any time, I of course mean at reasonable intervals and with allocated respect.
The simulant falls silent as you finish the last of your calf. The Dreamer has one hell of a replicator. You stand up and start over towards your uniform. I look down at the drawer, showing the black slacks and silver shirt of the Astrogation Guild. Not quite as revealing as Miz's choice of outfit.
Miz will be in uniform, as he can be while on shift, I assure you. Even the captain has a no exposed genitals stance on ship duty.
You would hope so. You doubt that Astrogian Guild operational standards cover such things.
That doesn't mean that he doesn't push his luck.
I think that it'd be more surprising if he didn't. At least everything supplied here seems to be in your size. You tuck your underwear on, wriggling your hips to settle in place. Hopefully it's not going to give you any more trouble today. The shirt's a fine fit, and you imagine yourself looking quite dashing in it. The pants go on next, and monochromatic look or not, it does play well with the shirt. The belt and your mag boots complete the look, and you turn towards the mirror. Well, you certainly look worse. Burn that, you look damn good. Even still tired from your insufficient sleep, the uniform looks good on you. You reach down to your discarded belt and unclip your reader and your holster. It's the work of moments to affix them to your uniform. What do you think, Oba?
Like a handsome and dashing explorer, off to traverse the far reaches of space.
Thanks.
Whereby he will be beset by alien wildlife, torn limb from limb and left drowning in blood as he laments not being born with a perfect machine body.
Sure. I guess. You smile as you make your way to the door. It opens for you as you approach, and you take a deep breath. First day. It closes behind you as you make your way down the corridor. There is no sign of anyone else. You expect Zubari's already on the bridge, at least. It's strangely quiet. The walk to the bridge. You can feel the vibrations of the ship's deck more clearly than in your quarters. You're definitely in flight. Just where exactly you are, however, you're about to find out. You pause by the door to the bridge and center yourself. Take a breath, try to relax. It's harder than you thought it'd be. You feel a tickle run up the back of your neck. Your whole life, good and bad, has led you here. Your future depends on this. You force down the fear as you take another deep breath. You've got this, Rael. You've got this. Oh, stars. You really hope that you've got this. But standing outside of the bridge won't prove it. You grit your teeth and let your breath out slowly, and then motion towards the door. When the door to the bridge opens, you see that the Dreamer is most definitely in flight. Instead of the flowing colors of the warp space radiation soliciting off the shields, however, you'll see the steady pinpricks of light that denote distant stars. Zuberi is seated in his command chair, now in his uniform. You can see the commands of his station are the same helm controls Bronkin set for him yesterday. For all intents and purposes, he may not have moved from that spot since you last saw him. Miz is there too, on the sensor console. You can't see his screen, but there he is watching it intently and doesn't seem to have noticed you. He also seems to be wearing an AG uniform, albeit without a shirt under his jacket. It seems that even in uniform he likes to play it casual. Tulemani is also present. She's not only seated at the navigational system, but is in fact plugged into it directly. The Sibes Nero cables are jacked into the back of her chair, and her paws have turned from the mechanical digits to direct connections with her console. Her eyes are closed, but you can see violet light playing around the edges of her eyelids. She's definitely not sleeping. Good morning, Rael. How he sounds so cheery after so little sleep, you can't even begin to guess. Good morning, Captain. I trust you slept well? Well, sure. Enough? You're not so sure of that yet. Well, enough, sir. Thank you. Zuberi chuckles quietly as he shakes his head. Easy, Rael. You're on my crew, but you're not technically AG personnel. You don't have to be so formal with me. No need to call me Captain or Sir. Do you mind if I do? The wolf tilts his head with a smirk. Oh? Usually it takes a bit more drink to get someone who's not a subordinate to call me Sir. You feel heat rush into your ears as Zuberi laughs. From his station, a chuckle rolls from the cheetah. Sorry, shouldn't tease. You could be okay with that teasing, all things considered. So this is how it works. You pick a character, and well, you get to a point with the character, and you can either lock in to, I guess, potentially romance them, or lock that romance out. And just be like, you know what? You're my captain, or you're my coworker, you're my Sib, or whatever. You're just the doctor. You're just the second in command. I don't want to pursue anything with you. So yeah. With him though, you will be able to progress a romance with Zuberi. This does not mean that you are locked into a romance with Zuberi, only that you may pursue it. I'll call you Captain, and you can call me Sir. There is a choked-off gasp from the cheetah as he turns to glance back at you over his shoulder. Zuberi glances his way, but his smirk cools somewhat as he regards you again. Careful now. You've already seen me put Kalia in her place for insubordination. Wouldn't want to bite off more than you can chew, would you? You flash him a toothy smile and turn. I don't know. I can chew an awful lot. I'll keep that in mind. Zuberi looks back around his bridge for a moment. With that out of the way, I don't suppose you already met Miz and Tulemani? You nod, although you didn't spend all that much time with the otter. I did, after a fashion. Good morning, Miz. Rael? He nods back to you before turning once more to his screen. He may well be as much a morning person as you. Tulemani's currently processing raw nav data. She won't exactly be responsive while she's on the bridge unless it's an emergency. That tracks for a Sib so thoroughly wired in. She might have seemed a bit rude when you spoke to her last night. Not the word that I would have used. Well, she wanted me to apologize when I saw you today. She was, as she puts it, in her machine mind. She could stand to spend a little more time in her meat brain, most of us think. The look that Zuberi shoots Miz can mount a comment. Luckily for the cheetah, he's faced away from his captain. Regardless, Tulemani is a kind and gentle soul beneath all the chrome. I expect you to treat her as the rest of us. Sibes face far too much discrimination and suspicion. So far as you're concerned, you've seen at length what their augmentations earn them from society. The last thing that you intend to do is add to the anti-Sib misery in the galaxy. That's not even close to a problem. Quite the opposite, in fact, especially if she's sifting data from my soft. She is. I'm sure that she'd like to speak with you later as well. Regarding that, I'd not mind being present for that discussion myself. Of course, you're more than welcome as well. Good, I'm glad to hear it. Then we can move straight onto the shift. Zuberi waves you towards his command chair as he swivels it back to face the front of the ship. I know I don't have to go over the mission statement of the Astrogation Guild with you, of all people. I probably shouldn't be out here if I wasn't at least a little familiar, charting stars, evaluating resources, all the simple stuff the average galactic citizen knows about. More, it's about measuring warp space distortions, right? Until a ship's in system, you can only guess at stellar frequencies and tachyon disruption. With the right warp space sensors, you can also map out the floor of distortions and collate a jump lane from it for safer, faster-than-light transit. The wolf grins. The guild should have you write their tech manuals flawless. I do what I can, so what about us? What's keeping the Dreamer safe flying into the unknown? How's your warp drive rated? Up to 0.52. Your eyes widen as you give an approving nod. Most civilian warp ship drives are only rated to 0.4 warp space distortion. Military vessels often get to 0.5, and makes sense that a specialized exploration vessel would nudge them out, if barely. You really do have all the best toys, don't you? If you're gonna spend your life on the edge of known space, it pays to invest in the best, hence the drive, hence your algorithm. And of course, hence Tulemani. You glance her way again and nod. A SIPE would make an exploration ship's run all the more smoothly. Altogether, I dare say that we're one of the most effective ships and crews in the entire Astrogation Guild. I don't really have room to argue. He's got a damn good point. Here's hoping that I don't lower that bar. Don't worry, I have the utmost confidence in your abilities. Given your recent history, that's as welcome to hear as it is surprising. You nod your gratitude. The wolf gestures you forward. A full shift usually sees us get through about 3 or 4 systems. Sam usually comes by with food around mid-shift. That's a bit of a surprise. They like to prepare food? Stars know. Sam is as good at eating food as they are not good at preparing it. They wouldn't know how to use the cooker unit if you bludgeon them with the manual. At least, you know that Bronkin likes to use it. Maybe he's the go-to for the good stuff. It won't be anything special. Just some replicator essentials, more than enough to keep us going, though. All the body needs. Insofar as to what food can offer. Well, it's good to know that we get a lunch break, at least. Where are you gonna want me on the shift? Normally, I'd station you on the nav data with Tulemani, but with her fully integrated right now, that would just be a waste. Given that we're coming on system scan range, Oba?
If we keep cruising at 0.5C, a couple more minutes or so.
Well, I put it to you, Rael. Do you want to observe from the helm station or help Ms. on a sweep? So again, having that background allows me to do this. I can probably help Tulemani. Zuberi glances over towards the side. Ms. follows his gaze as well before rolling his eyes and turning back to his console. You would know better than I would, if that's possible. It would be up to her, of course. She'd need to let me in. You continue to impress. I had no idea that you spoke fluent Chrome. Silence hangs in the air of the bridge. As you turn towards Ms., you can see that Zuberi's eyes have narrowed. A few moments later, I see Ms. has realized that a line has been crossed. Apologies, that was uncalled for. I'm not the one that you owe an apology. Neither is Rael. Fortunately for you, she probably didn't hear that. I'll let Tulemani decide if your apology is accepted or not once the shift is over. Yes, sir. Ms. has seemed spirited since the moment that you met him, but he cowers like a cub now under the weight of Zuberi's disapproval. Rael, how do you propose you can be of assistance? You glance around the bridge and your eyes settle on the empty seat. If you can patch the nav data through one of those consoles, I can sift through it as well, put another pair of eyes on it. The wolf's eyes are on yours as he slowly nods. You don't tell him that it's to make sure that your algorithm hasn't gone wrong again. In the intensity of his stare, you know that he knows. That seems prudent. I'll see what I can do. The wolf waves his paw towards the helm station at the front of the bridge. Take that one. Don't worry, the flight controls are locked to my command chair for now. Good. I not want to accidentally take us off course or anything. Trust me, you won't be charting any course with my ship for the foreseeable future. He's not kidding. Just in case you were wondering, apparently Brahm was here for a year before he was even given a chance to fly. I look forward to being the next. The wolf smiles as you take your seat. I look forward to you impressing me then. Consider it done. The display before you lights up, along with the console as a whole. Navigation systems initialized. You are suddenly witness to a representation of the data streaming from the ship into Tulemani's mind. It is immense. You knew what to expect, but you see the way that she's processing the raw data is a thing of mechanical beauty. It's incredible, mesmerizing almost. It's not just her augments. She wouldn't be able to do this without some serious aptitude for the processing, no matter how much chrome she packs. You find yourself only growing more intrigued by her, and this only intensifies as a text window opens up in the corner of your display.
Apologies for my silence. I am processing.
Of course, in the midst of her work, her physical motor functions would be compromised. Commandeering the console would just be more efficient. It's the work of only a moment of familiarizing yourself with the comms interface so that you can reply to her in turn. No apologies necessary. Do you require assistance?
You are the author.
It's not a question. She clearly recognizes you, and you briefly feel a surge of panic rush through you. If she knows that, what else does she know about you, about your work? I am.
It is inspired work, flawless. You should be proud.
You blink with confusion. That's not what you were expecting to hear. A glance up from your station shows that Zuberi and Miz have settled into their routine. You're not being paid attention to in the least. On some level, that's comforting. You can focus on this. Thank you. I'm glad to hear it.
Polymorphic encoding is difficult to parse when not compiled by a SIBE. What is your neural interface model?
A frown touches your brow, and you cock your head. Just a standard Biomech MMI neural socket. There is a long pause. The data flow even seems to slow down, as if Tulemani's attention has drifted away from her work.
You used a polymorphic iterator to generate this algorithm then, yes?
No iterator. I wrote it myself from scratch. Ran the numbers myself. Now the data flow has frozen entirely. Your ears pin back. You don't doubt that you have the otter's full attention now.
Impossible.
Apparently it isn't.
You have no coprocessor.
Not one.
A meat brain.
Almost entirely. The text window stills. Behind it you can see that the flow of data resumes once again.
Astounding. Impressive. Most intriguing. You should still consider a coprocessor, however. Your calculations would be vastly improved and output would increase accordingly.
You'd considered it, of course. Cybernetic augmentation isn't exactly difficult in your modern era of interstellar travel. Still, you are rather attached to your meat for now. More than she seems to be, at least. Could have used it in more during my studies.
Incorrect. During your younger years, you require your brain to be unburdened with the pressure cranial augmentation brings. While in such a developmental stage, the cybernetics would have caused more harm than good.
You know that. It was more of a joke than anything else. Well, my brain's not developing anymore. It might be worth looking into something that could help with my current workload. You're not wrong that a SIBE could do the job better.
Possibly. You have proven that this is not the case, and there are, of course, limitations that must be considered. Not least of all, the social cost.
You wince even as you nod at the screen. You've seen that for yourself all too often. I assume that that's why you chose to spend your time on a deep space exploration vessel on the edge of space?
It is not.
Oh.
And I suppose it is also. I am here because Zuberi wishes for me to be here. I am here because I appreciate the challenge of the work. I am here because the ship pleases me. And yes, I am here because the pool of troublesome individuals with anti-psych mindsets tends to be minimal, with some exceptions.
You don't ask her to elaborate. It's not really your place. But still, you are magnificent. What you're able to do here, and what you're doing right now, I've never met anyone, cyb or otherwise, to do it. They'd burn. You look comfortable. There was a brief pause before her response.
You are very kind, of course. Thank you. I do wonder at what it could have been like, though.
What? What could have been like?
An alternative existence. One where I was not this, not so comprehensively mechanical.
You're pretty sure everyone wonders what they could have been in a different circumstances at some point. It's never too late to find out.
I suppose it is not. It is, however, difficult, fraught with issues that I cannot explore at the present. My duties require for me these augments. It does make it difficult to separate my value as a sapient from my value as a cyb, I admit.
I can't even imagine how tough that must be. But for what it's worth, I'm confident that you have significant value even beyond your augments. Maybe they're useful for your work? I can't argue that. Whether they're good for you is something that you'll have to determine.
I suppose that you are right. If only such a thing were easier. Perhaps in time they will be.
Rael? You lift your head from the console and turn your chair at the sound of the captain's voice. It feels weird listening to him now after spending your last few minutes conversing entirely in text with Tulemani. Yes? I'm sorry. I was just speaking with Tulemani. I could tell. You were smiling. You were? You suppose it was certainly a stimulating conversation. I was hoping your tail would start wagging. Unfortunately, I am left disappointed. You spent a long time looking at my backside instead of working, do you, Miss? To his credit, the cheetah shrugs and flashes a smile. I have seen better, but I have also seen much worse. Good to know that I rank over average. Miz, please don't distract him. Rael, you'll want to mind yourself around Miz. He can be very distracting. Turns it into a game sometimes. From the playful curt of the cheetah's muzzle, you don't doubt it at all. I'll do my best. As will I. Whether he's setting up to do his best to not distract you or to distract you is yet to become clear. You have your suspicions. We've completed a couple of planetary scans here, Rael. Have you or Tulemani detected anything worrying on the warp space sensors? You turn back to your console and hiss a curse under your breath. You were too busy talking with Tulemani to actually do your job. No. That's because I, wasn't doing that. Oh dear. Shirking your duties on your first shift? This doesn't become you, Rael. As the cheetah chuckles to himself, you pull up the warp space sensor data. The information unspools across your console display. A quick scan of the volumes of information don't display anything particularly worrying. That's a good sign. Feeding into the navcom now. We'll know in a moment if there's anything that we should be concerned about. You watch in silence as your algorithm processes the information from the warp space sensors, if everything is working well. The console dings a moment later and you sigh with relief. It's working fine. Tulemani's monitoring must have done some good. Regional average warp space distortion is fluctuating between 0.2 and 0.21, nothing above a 0.25 since we entered the system. I can confirm, stellar frequencies are solid and below average. Looks like we have a quiet one for Rael's first time out. They say you never forget your first time, but this one's pretty forgettable so far. If it wasn't for Tulemani being so fascinating, you might be inclined to agree. Well, it is still my first tour aboard the exploration ship. There's plenty of time for it to become more exciting. There is also plenty of time for it to become considerably less. A real optimist, that Miz. It's alright. I'm sure we'll see some more interesting sights as we continue through the cluster. Like I said, this is just to settle you in. You lean back into the chair with a soft sigh. At least it's comforting. It's not like you didn't know what you were getting into, but your life before boarding the Dreamer was considerably more interesting. Well, it's not as though it ended up particularly well. At least long days and nights in front of programming consoles primed you for this degree of boredom. Looks like we're coming up on the innermost world, Ms. You turn your attention back to your console as Ms. begins to give his report. The next few hours proceed in much the same fashion. Zuberi maneuvers the ship, Ms. scans the bodies, Tulemani ensures that the nav systems are updating. It's all such a well-oiled machine that it feels like you don't really have anything to do at all. Like, if you tried, you'd just get in the way. You're determined not to make yourself seem utterly useless, and do chime in from time to time. Certainly, you do get an opportunity or two to look over Tulemani's processings. She quietens after your initial conversation, but you suppose that's so that she can work. Over the course of the shift, Zuberi is at least able to walk you through the basic functions of the different bridge stations. He only briefly touches on the defensive systems of the Dreamer, but it's long enough to know the exploration vessel has teeth. It becomes the most interesting part of the second system that you chart that day. There is otherwise absolutely nothing of value to be found in the binary system. That is, at least, about the time that Sam arrives with their arms laden with trays of food. You're almost forgotten the engineer would be coming. You do manage to strike up a brief conversation as you thank them for bringing you the meal. Ms. looks stunned by the rabbit's willingness to speak to someone. They do leave quickly, however. You learn that Sam tends to sleep between the two work shifts so that they can somehow bring the working crew their food. The rest of the shift continues to pass with what is, unfortunately, relative tedium. You aren't certain that you would feel less tired after your shift if you had tried to sleep in a bit longer. Boredom is exhausting. At the very least, as the fourth system scanning winds to a close and you recline in your chair and stifle a yawn, you realize that the first shift has finished. Thank the stars. Rael, you all right there? You turn your chair back towards him. You catch sight of Ms. standing up and stretching his whole body. Yeah, sorry. Just let my thoughts wander for a moment. Before you ask, yes, the replicator can produce extraordinary volumes of alcohol. It will also not cut you off like some tenders are wont to do. Or Brahm. Or him too, yes. You chuckle despite yourself and glance over towards Tulemani Station. The otter is still seated, still plugged in, and still apparently working. Behind you, Zuberi hums to himself. She's just finalizing the Navcom's processing to prepare the second shift. She'll unplug when it's done, and then head off to her quarters. That's a shame. You kind of wouldn't have minded the chance to speak with her again. So, what happens now? Now I lament the lack of proper bath in this vessel, and retire to my sleeping pad. Then I suppose that I ought to wish you a good night. I suppose you ought to. You chuckle to yourself. Ms. is definitely a character. Then I wish you a good night, Ms. And I you, Captain. He turns and nods to Zuberi. The wolf returns the gesture before turning back to his console. You watch as Ms. leaves the bridge. A glance around briefly brings Tulemani into view. You decide it's best not to bother the Scythe while she is still working. And what about you, Captain? Back to your pad too, lamenting the lack of a tub to soak in? Zuberi laughs as he leans back in his chair. No. I'll probably also just head straight to sleep. I understand that if you aren't ready to do the same. My sleep schedule is definitely out of whack, no doubt about it. I know, and I'm sorry. I almost wish that I had to change the shifts a little bit before you got here. What do you mean? I watch as the wolf turns towards you fully, paws on his legs. He glances for a moment at the bridge door. There is no one there. Kalia doesn't make a good first impression, especially with your... infamy? History. Same deal, sometimes. I should have known when I put the choice in front of you that it was a stupid one, that you'd not want to put yourself through that. I'll take you over her any day. Would have minded more of Brahm. Maybe I should have gone with her. You think Sam needs help down there? The wolf smiles and folds his arms. Oh? Have I given the wrong impression? That I'm a pushover of a commander? You give the impression of a captain who cares about his job, his ship, and his crew, all of it. Good answer. Rehearse that in front of a mirror. Anyway, it's clear that you care about all of it. She cares about the mission. She really does. But I don't get the sense that she cares about the people making it happen in the same way. The wolf's ears droop as he nods. Unfortunately, that's all pretty spot on. Honestly though, I'm glad that you decided to take first shift. I'm sure that it wasn't very fun for you, but it gave me a good chance to watch you. Oh, how many ways you could take that. You, liked what you saw? I did, yes. You're surprised? I mean, a little. You focused right in with Tulemani, got to work doing what you came here to do. I can't fault that. I'm glad of it, really. You were worried that I would just let it all go, hope for the best? After what happened to the last ship running my soft? He shakes his head, and you breathe a sigh of relief. Seems that he really does trust you. No, Rael. I wasn't worried. I thought that I'd made it clear when you came aboard that I trusted you to do right by me and my crew. And I don't intend to abuse that trust, I swear. I know. I'm not accusing. Like I said, I liked what I saw today. More of that, and we'll get on great. You definitely have no intention of doing any less. I don't suppose you have any notes? No notes. Nothing that can't wait until tomorrow's shift anyway. So I'm still on tomorrow's first shift? Just as long as you want to be. Yeah, I think I'm good here. Good. I think you are too. He taps twice on his console. You see the display dim to nothing. He stands up and stretches with a groan. Ugh, but for now, I think Miz had the right idea. I'm gonna get a refresher cycle and then hit the pad. You're not sure that he stinks that bad, but that could be just where you're standing. I'll close down my console and do the same, I think. Smart idea, that. Just make sure that you get Oba to wake you for third shift. I don't want to get everyone together only for you to not show up. I'll make sure to get her to set an alarm. Good. See you there, Rael. Good night. Good night, Captain. He nods back to you once, still smiling as he turns and heads off the bridge. You watch him go, tail wagging slowly behind him. It seems that you didn't do badly for your first day after all. With one last glance at Tulemani, you turn to leave the bridge. The sooner you get back to your quarters, the better. After all, the last thing that you want to do is keep this messed up sleep pattern. As soon as the bridge doors open, however, you find yourself immediately confronted with Kalia and Bromkin. The two are on their way up the corridor together. The bear has a smile on his face, clearly enjoying whatever they're discussing. You don't get to see what Kalia looked like before she notices you. Her frown is all that you can see. Good morning. Good morning, Rael. How was your shift? Productive, I guess. I don't feel like I did all that much. Because you likely didn't. Oh, here we go again. What are you still doing here? I'm leaving. Her eyes narrow slightly. What are you doing here, unsupervised? Wonderful. Her mistrust seems to be settling instead into outright hostility. Your hackles bristle. We've got to get over this smoldering sexual tension, Kalia. Besides her, Bromkin stifles a snicker. Kalia's eyes narrow to slits. This isn't a joke. I know. Unbound lust like that can make for a difficult work environment. We'll need to find a way to push through it, Kalia, for the sake of the crew, the mission. You adopt the sweetest and most emotionally pained face that you can muster. That or you look constipated. No matter what it means for us. Her glare could melt mill steel. I think that I will survive. Oh, Kalia, why do you wound me so deeply? If I chose to wound you, Rael, I promise you, it will be deeper than you can imagine. And you will not be laughing when I do. She pushes brusquely past you, shoving you to the side in the process. You stumble, but don't even try to hide your smile as you watch her enter the bridge. As the door slides closed, you hear Bromkin's sigh in relief. You're insane, you know that? I've been told that it's my best quality. No, I mean she was about to shoot you. You can't but chuckle. You doubt that, but a glance at Bromkin's face indicates that he is not really joking. Maybe next time you won't mock her so hard. But But the bear's smile returns. But that was pretty funny. I do what I can. But hey, don't let me distract you. You'll be the next one that she goes after if you don't get in the bridge, right? Oh, right you are. Good point. Before I forget. The bear reaches into his pocket and withdraws a small metal canister, no longer than the length of your middle finger. You turn it over and over in your palm for a moment before you look up again and hold it up to the light. A suppository? He laughs and you cannot but smile. He's such an opposing force to Kalia. Only if you're feeling brave. No, this is something that you could slot into your pad. It'll deploy an atmospheric dose of sleep aid. Should neutralize the adrenaline response and induce a long, restful sleep. Oba can show you where it goes if you can't find the port. You're sure that you can have used it last night, but hey, you'll take it. Thanks, Brom. I really appreciate it. Don't mention it. And, don't get used to it either. Captain said that you'd probably need it to bunk down now, so he asked me to prep you a dose before I bunked down last night. But the stuff gets nasty if you take it too much. I've seen some awful dependencies in my time. Yeah, I bet a doctor's gonna see the best and worst of the galaxy all at once. A pained look flashes across Bromka's face, lingering just long enough for you to wonder how much he has seen. Unfortunately. But with that done, I better go. I don't want her thinking that I was bailing on the shift to dose up with you. I suppose you could frame it as a medical emergency. Maybe I'm critically addicted to stims. Bromka blanches at that and shakes his head. All the biomed students at IGA were on stims, myself included. For some, it was the only way that they could get through all of that. I saw it do some awful damage. For once, you're sort of glad that you didn't get into the latter, higher pressure parts of the Institute's coursework. Well, thankfully I wasn't one of them. Some of those parties, though, talk about letting off the pressure. I think I saw a few biomed students actually cooking up fresh huffers at some of them. You shake your head and smile at the memory, only to catch Bromka's blush and abashed turn away. No, your innocent little ship doctor peddled party drugs during his studies. Oh, you bad boy. It wasn't like that, really. If it was anything like the parties that I saw, you probably got an eyeful of more than I ever did. It was one time, and it's not like he would have... We shouldn't be discussing this. Huh? Seems like Bromka's got up a little more craziness in his IGA days than you would have thought. You're gonna have to tell me that story sometime. Or not. Or not too. You think that he might have started hyperventilating if he kept getting worked up. You hold up both of your paws. It's alright, Brom, really. He does start to calm down some, his breathing slowing as he tries a little smile. If you say so. I do say so. He steps back from you and straightens up his jacket. Okay, you go. Get some rest. Use the dose if you need to. One won't do any harm. You're now a little curious as to how many it would take to do harm. You also don't vocalize the question to the doctor. I will, and thanks. You try to have a good shift, okay? I will, thank you. Take care of yourself, Rael. And that's always the goal. See you later, Brom. The bear nods to you, before he turns and hurries towards the bridge door. It slides open for him and he darts inside, and it closes again before you see or hear anything more. A pity, actually. You were kind of curious what Kalia would have said to him after your little confrontation. Kalia. You don't want or need to think about it right now. Bromka was right. You need to sleep, to get your body's rhythms synced to the ship. You roll the canister between your fingers. Nice of him and Zubar to offer you something to help sort that out too. There is also no point in delaying it. You should sleep the whole second shift so that you can be awake and alert for the third, and of course, for tomorrow's work shift on first. Your quarters seem unchanged from when you left them hours ago. That's probably a good thing. If they were materially different, you'd be very confused. Once your door closes, it's the work of mere moments for you to begin stripping down and out of your uniform. You pause, holding the uniform shirt aloft. Oba?
Yes, oh half-naked one.
Should I just, fold this up, or...
I wouldn't want you to strain yourself in such a manner, Stray. Perish the thought. No, simply deposit all of your various soiled garments into the appropriate receptacle. They will be cleaned, pressed, and delivered safely and sound to your drawer.
Well, it's good to know that the ship is well automated as a standard apartment. Thanks, Oba.
You're welcome. Just try not to overly soil them, if you don't mind. Picking through the mess isn't pleasant.
You don't actually have any paws of your own, do you? Or tactile sensations for the washer, for that matter?
It's about the principle of the thing, Stray.
Of course it is. You chuckle to yourself as you set Bronca's canister on your pad and finish stripping down. Your coals all go straight into the receptacle, just as you'd had been told. The refresher beckons, but it's not like you need to worry about going all in on through the cleanse cycle. It's not been long since you were last there after all. The liquid shower functions does tempt you a bit further, but once again you tamp that down. No, you need sleep, the sooner the better, if you intend to actually be awake for third shift. Alas, it seems that it has to wait again. The refresher at least continues to do its job effectively, if much less fun. By the time the quick cycle is complete, you feel reinvigorated, which would be ideal if you didn't have to sleep now. You sigh and rub at your muzzle as you glance at the canister on your pad. At least you have something that should help put you down for the night. Hey Oba?
Yes?
Brahm said that you know where to slot this thing. You sit down on the edge of your pad and plug the canister up. No sooner had you done so than a section of the pad's frame recedes and slides out of the way, revealing a cylindrical port the exact size of the canister.
Right in there. Just let me know if you'd like to activate it, and it'll be good night and goodbye, little Stray.
Sounds perfect. You settle yourself down on the sleeping pad with a sigh, rolling onto your back to stare at the ceiling as you slide the canister into the slot. It seals up right after. What a shift. And the day's not even over yet. If third shift is anything like the first, your days have just gotten busier than you'd have thought going into all of this. Tulemani is a fascinating enigma. Who she is and what she is both are absolutely intriguing. It's a shame that you don't have more time to actually speak with her before the end of the shift. Perhaps if you can, third shift would be the place. It was nice, at least, to speak to Zuberi after your shift. He does seem to be satisfied with your presence aboard this ship. The wolf doesn't seem bad company either. Maybe if you got him alone for a bit, you could learn a bit more about him. But such thoughts can wait. Third shift will be upon you before you know it. Undoubtedly so if you dose yourself. Alright, Oba. I'm ready, I guess. Hit it.
Hitting it. Sleep well, Stray.
Thanks, Oba. There is a faint hum as you feel the compression field on your sleeping pad activate to contain the contents of the canister, if you had to guess. You close your eyes and take a deep breath as you try to calm your mind. The air, once flushed with cool and metallic scent of the ship, is suffused with something else. It almost smells sweet. It starts to remind you of something, but you can't even complete the thought. Sleep claims you far too quickly. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So we got, started on our first shift. Before that, though, we had a chance to speak to Oba, and you could speak to her about whatever you wanted, I guess. But I decided to learn more about her since, she is technically the ship. And again, there's a distinction between, not distinction, or the similarities, I guess, between her and Edie from Mass Effect. Where Edie is also the ship, but she also has a body. And she went from being just a ship in Mass Effect 2 to having a body in Mass Effect 3. Whereas Oba goes from having a body at the beginning, well, even before the story, I guess, to not having a body and just being the ship. So, yeah, they did like a little reverse thing. I suppose as it, that it's, I guess, baked into the story where, like, the more you get to learn them, the more, not learn them, get to speak with these characters on one-on-one, the more you'll get to learn about them. Which, I mean, I suppose is a given. you also got to see like this little system where, depending on your choices earlier, I suppose in the prologue, I think it was in the prologue, you get to see how you can lock in or lock out a relationship with a specific character, like with like the captain. You're choosing to perhaps pursue him or not, and just think of him like, oh, he's just a captain. I don't want to do anything with them. At the very least, you'll see that happening once more later on in the first day. This is just the beginning of the first day. But yeah, like, I mean, out of the whole cast that we see so far, because I think that there are going to be some other characters introduced in either day 2 or day 3. I guess the captain and Bromka are like the ones that stand out to me the most, at least aesthetically. Yeah. Also finally got to speak a little bit more one-on-one with Tulemani and see not how to explain it. I guess see like the type of how her brain works, I guess, in a way. Despite the fact that she is a Saib who I suppose, based on like the background or what little they said in the story, is supposed to be sort of like very robotic, very much what you would think Oba would be. There's still like the little bit of human within her. Like the sort of curiosity, sort of the yearning of wanting to be a little less robot, cyborg, and a little bit more meaty. But that might stem from the fact that, I guess Cybes are looked down upon in society or something, based on this story. But yeah. What else? Kalia still being spicy, but like, it didn't help that I antagonized her, but like, yeah, it was a funny choice. And Bronca being nice, but yeah. Anywho, so what are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Void Dreaming yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game and play it yourself. If by the time that I upload this, they already have their Patreon up and running, then I will be linking that down in the description as well. I also have the link for channel members down there in case you don't see it on YouTube itself, and it does help support the channel. So yeah, subscribe, become a channel member. You get to watch these videos as they're being scheduled, which is usually like 2 weeks in advance, usually. Also, Ko-fi in case you want to support me through there. Throne in case you want to book, buy me stuff. Anyways, but yeah, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next part. Bye-bye.